Okay, can you guys hear me now? Can you guys hear me now? I have restarted the live. Can you hear me now? Still no sound? Still no sound? Are you hearing me now? Tell me if you're hearing me now, guys. Are you hearing me now? Are you hearing me now? I think the sound has come up now. Okay, okay. What the hell happened? I tell you, I'm still getting used to this damn thing. I sound like a robot. Do I sound like a robot? Hold on. I sound like a robot. Yes, but not very clear. Okay, hold on. Yes, can hear. Yes, can hear. Yes, but not very clear. All right, hold on 1 second. Yes, can hear. Okay, lovely. All right. So sorry about that, guys. Some blurry. Blurry. Hold on. It sounds weird. Okay, hold on. I'm gonna come off this.
Try a different. Okay, can you hear me better this way? I've changed the microphone. Distorted and fast. Okay, can you hear me better this way? I've changed the mic. No better this way. How would you rate this? Hold on. Not hearing. All right.
Yes, perfect. Better. Okay, much better now. Okay, lovely. I am so sorry for the technical glitches, guys. I don't know what the hell's happening. It must be some kind of grizzle. Kind of over. Yeah, some kind of over. Big up your life, thank you so much for attending a touch of class with HDK. I am still getting used to this new app and it's doing my head in with certain things. Please forgive me. I will soon become an expert at it. It's only a matter of time. All right. So, make a very night. All right. First of all, let me get everybody that's in the classroom before we get started. Okay. Kathy Wallace, Thea Rich, big up yourself. Anne Marie, hello from Toronto. First flight to class, but like that. That's over reality. As my admin said, welcome one, welcome all. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. Show appreciation to the channel. Good evening, June Sunback, Island Breeze. Happy Sunday indeed. Hope everybody eats on a Sunday dinner. I already know it's about what 8 to 8 here in the UK, so I'm eat everything. And you know, I don't know if you guys know, but I'm on intermittent fasting, and I've literally only eaten once for the day, but I am very contented doing it. I've been doing it for the past week. I've already lost a stone. So you know, we are keeping it healthy for 2025. Big up yourself, Pottinger Naturals. Oh, Grey Reality. Big up yourself, Anne Marie. Big up yourself, Connie. What's going on? Tatiana. Hello, hello. Celebrate yourself with Sue St. Joy. We still stand with Jay. Love that. Charmaine Walker. Big up yourself, Rosemary. Big up yourself. Do remember to tap on the like button. Melanie Walters. Big up yourself. Jay Summer. Verna Guthrie. Big up yourself. Marsha. Big up yourself. Verna says good evening to everyone watching. And I think we have got everybody here loving Purple Hearts. So the justice for Jay. That is everywhere. Yes, I appreciate you all graduates. We're going to talk about the recent video. And I want you to understand my stance. First of all, my stance on this. First of all, well, the sound is bad. Switch back. Lord jeez.
Is that better? I have checked it. I've checked. I've changed the mic. Is it better now? Oh my goodness, this is crazy. It's still distorted, even though I've changed the mic. Can't hear nothing, no audio. I'll wait for the delay for you guys to catch up. Is it better now? Okay, all right. Mm. May I get a fight? I'll make it a technical fight. I'm not gonna restart all of that. Like I said, guys, I'm so sorry about that. It's a new app. I'm getting used to it. I will soon get better. I don't know what happens, and I probably need to find a way to test the audio before I get started. But yeah, we will get there in the end. Right. So, like I was saying, we are going to discuss the recent live that was done by CMR, right? Um, and I want my graduates to understand. Yes, I will leave it. I will leave it on. I want my graduates to understand my stance on the whole thing. Okay. I need you to understand first and foremost that HTK is a completely independent blogger. In other words, I'm not a part of any crew. I'm not a part of any posse. I'm not a part of any clique. I don't speak to any other blogger off offline with regards to what I'm going to say, how I'm going to say it. I'm not guided by anyone. I have my own mind and my own perspectives, and that is what I share with my graduates. I am a completely independent thinker. I observe things on my own before I speak. Okay? So, nothing here that I am saying is connected to what anyone else is saying or what anyone else's agenda is. I need you to understand that and understand that very clearly. I have no personal vendetta against CMR or Chrissy. I don't know these people from Adams. But what I do know is what has been presented to the public, what has been put out here in these social media streets. And that is what I have based my opinions on. And I also know the factual information that has been put across in terms of public records, um, that may be on the basis of a statement, but still it's a factual document. Okay. This is what I know. I also know about the um, the change in the focus of the case, in that it is now dismissed. And as such, it has thrown up many questions in the eyes of the public about whether or not CMR is innocent or guilty, as no verdict has been determined. Okay? Now, we know that separate and apart from what happens in the courts will be the Child Protection Services actions in terms of assessing the safeguard of Jay, who is the alleged victim who put forward the statement to the Apopka police, claiming that she had been inappropriately touched on more than one occasion. So, my stance is this, and this is when I intend to no longer even look in the direction of the Carters. I need you to understand. If I see that the CPS has assessed the family and has checked out everything that needs to be checked out and has given the green light in terms of CMR being in the space of the child, it is on that basis that I'll have absolutely nothing to say until something else hits the headlines or the news. Okay? Um, until such times, there is always going to be a question in my mind about the accountability issues around how the case is currently. And it's for reasonable circumstances that I have that in my head. Now, I listened closely to the live, watched it as well, and I've got a couple of concerns. Okay. And it may not be popular ones, but it's still a couple of concerns, right? Okay. I got no issue with Chrissy going back to our manner, supporting our manner. Listen, we've seen Chrissy's behavior as a wife out here before. It's no surprise. Although you would have thought that with the issue of a child involved, it may have been more extreme, but in this case, it was not. And when I saw the reactions of the mother throughout this entire situation, there were questions coming up in the back of my head because the impression that's being given to the public is that all that all of this is a bunch of lies. You understand? And I am wondering, what are we missing here? And why is it that the Carters are not able to come out and plainly say that nothing that took place in this situation is the truth and that they are working on rebuilding their reputation despite the circumstances? So I thought long and hard about that. And when I thought long and hard about that, I came up with one conclusion, that if they came out and said everything was a lie and nothing no gossip, they could risk probably throwing their child under the bus, meaning that the internet would drag Jay from left to right to center to back to front. And I'm just putting myself in their shoes because I'm really trying to understand Chris's reactions and how barefaced CMR has been throughout this whole thing. That if they came out and said, listen, nothing like this is the truth. And as such, if nothing like this is the truth, then, you know, um, the internet would drag the little girl. I'm looking at different perspectives. Me not say anything go say, me I look on different, trying to put myself in different mindsets. But then when I heard that, when I thought about that conclusion, I said to myself, then why is it that when Vegas asked the question about whether or not this is true, and his question was coming from a good place, because remember, initially Mr. Vegas came out and completely defended CMR to the T. Why couldn't he, in that telephone communication, plainly state to Vegas that, listen, Vegas, this whole thing is a setup, it's a lie, and not bringing the story of yet another child from another parent into the circumstances? Why couldn't he just simply say, listen, all of this is a huge manifestation of the child's imagination, or she's trying to get back at me, or there is some, just family tiff and she decided to take her revenge? Why is it? Why is it that he didn't just say those things to Vegas at that given point, rather than bringing an entire story about a mother from Trinidad, a child that slept over, and them I try set him up and all these kind of things. This is what I find particularly strange. In addition to that, guys, I'm not looking at any comments at the moment. I can see them running up and down on the screen, but I will look in a minute. In addition to that, why is it that when the brother asked the question about whether or not, whether or not this happen, whatever is happening is true, why was Chris's response so dismissive initially to say whatever you hear a go on, that's a go on? I'm just looking at the people who were people who they did not need to hide anything from, people who would have from the very get-go be on your side. Why is it that you presented either a dismissive response or a lie? An innocent man fights with all of his might to clear his name and restore his reputation. I do not understand why it is that the reactions like this would fit into the narrative that is now being spun in the current life by CMR. So CMR said towards the end how disappointed he was in the lack of support that was given by the YouTube community whom he thought he had helped, including one that he gave monetary donations to, who was busy plastering negative comments about him. And he said, at the very least, he would have expected the character reference to be positive, given the fact that if they know him, they know that he would not do something of the sort. He never said it in those words, he used an analogy, basically. And he's like him would have said, if you know, say, me no eat meat, and somebody else say me eat cheese, me eat meat, me expect if you at least come out and say, you know, say me no eat meat. Something like that, right? I'm just giving you a kind of quick example of how he said it. And I'm saying to myself, you're guilt tripping these YouTubers into saying they should have defended you. Even if they kept quiet, they should have at least referred to you as a person. But yet you have a whole revelation out here from last year of you being a sexually immoral individual towards your wife, that you have demonstrated promiscuity, you have demonstrated the tendency to like younger, naive females. So this, of course, would naturally put questions in the heads of others as to whether or not you are in fact capable of this. Now, I did see, yes, a lot of emotional blackmail, Chrissy Chris. So he said one of the biggest disappointments or the biggest things that he experienced that really let him down was being misjudged. And I do not understand how it is that CMR can say that people have misjudged him rather than own up to the fact that his own behavior out here has led people down a path where they would more than likely believe he is capable of such an act. Where you're not the one out here behaving like a he-goat, despite being a husband and a father, and doing so recklessly and carelessly at the risk of your own wife. Wasn't that all revealed on social media? During your lives, do you not occasionally show snippets of who you truly are? Your constant references to your shenanigans with women and how you just your whole mindset, really. So, how is anybody misjudging you when you clearly demonstrate certain traits of a person who has not got enough control? Now, when I look at the fact that the case was dismissed without a trial, that there was not enough evidence found, this does not necessarily clear your name. I don't know how it is that you cannot see that. It does not necessarily clear your name. Or perhaps there was a trial. Maybe there was a court hearing and the documents still have not been revealed, but I haven't seen any evidence of it. All I'm saying is there is a huge difference between you and somebody who has been brought through the courts and a trial has taken place and evidence has been presented and disproved, and then they walk away as being innocent, as opposed to us assuming that you are innocent on a technicality. If you are being misjudged, why didn't you stick to that line instead of bringing in a false story when you were confronted by Vegas? Why wasn't the wife in your defense when the brother contacted her? And why didn't she say, listen, yes, it is happening, but that's which is they're saying no go so, and we have to fight it. Why didn't she have that stance? Why the hush hush and the quiet quiet and the pretend as though nothing is happening and carrying on as normal when you are going through such persecution publicly? Listen, this is a child whose voice, a child whose. So hold on a second. I seen a comment here by Hyacinth. Why didn't Vegas come out and um proctor the child and show the proof? As in protect the child and show the proof? He's full of SHIT. CMR probably paid him. Me not know about that. Hyacinth, do you have evidence of such? I don't know. But all I'm saying is that I think that the little girl did not engage well, and maybe CPS can't draw any sensible conclusions. Maybe all of these are speculations, Chrissy, possibly, right? But until I see some more court documents revealed, I can't really state if there was a further interview and blah blah blah. And certain things, obviously, they're not going to make available to the public where a minor is concerned. We can only speculate on the reasons behind it. But I'm saying this. When I witnessed him in the household with his 3 biological daughters, I try to look at him as objectively as possible. I deliberately put myself in that perspective. And I watched how he interacted, particularly with the youngest one. And it was innocent enough. The only part that made me kind of cringe was when she tried to bite him on his nipple. And he said, don't do that, which is an appropriate response. And then her response was like, why not? As though in her little mind, this is something she has done, or it's something that she's seen as no big deal. But toddlers can sometimes mimic what they have perceived between parents. So I am not going to jump to too hasty a conclusion, but it is it is the only part that I found like, oh my gosh, why? Other than that, it was a typical kind of Daddy, I am Daddy's princess. Um, I'm so overjoyed to be in his company. He spoils me everything I want. He gives me, and so on and so forth. And she was acting extra spoiled, um, for his attention, and you can tell because she really wanted to be that center, and everybody knows that that little one is particularly close to him. Clearly, CPS has not found any risk with regards to him being around his biological children. But we all know that when it comes to situations of vulnerability and abuse, stepchildren are usually very high up on that rank. Not to say that biological children are excluded, but I'm saying stepchildren are much higher up in the probability of risk. And until we see CPS has given a thumbs up for him to be back in the house around Jay, and we see evidence of Jay and him interacting as parent and child, there is still going to be room for doubts and questions around the safety of that little girl. And even then, because we know that sometimes CPS drop the ball and miss certain things, even then, there's going to always be that stomach settling concern. CPS may have found the risk, however, the final decision is down to a judge. Okay. So, from what I can see, Jay was at a party. She was not present in the house at the time because she was at a party. And while she was at that party, she was eating and stuff. So she did not require any of the food that was in the house, as the mother clearly stated that she eat already. Because where she went out, she was eating. I heard CMR very openly saying, listen, leave some of the sweets for your sister for Jay so that she can get it when she's finished with her party. I do not know if that suggests that she's coming to that house or if it's a matter of they'll take it away, because shortly after I did hear the mother say that she could come left and go yard. And she said it more than once. So it could be the case of they're taking it away to go and present it to Jane to say, here is your sweets, here are your sweets, right? Um, he does not seem to be visibly holding any grudge against the child who made the reports. From Christmas, he bought her a pair of Converse. If you remember, think back to the blogs, which she claimed that she did not wear. If you notice that all the other girls put on their Converse. I think they were going either to the movies or somewhere. But they all put on their Converse, and Jay made it a point of duty to say that she was not wearing her new shoes. She was wearing her previous old ones, her old shoes. She goes, guys, I'm not wearing mine. I'm wearing and I don't know if it was deliberate, her saying that, because I thought to myself, we never saw your feet. Did we need to know whether or not you were wearing it? Or was Jay trying to use her voice to make a point? That she didn't even feel comfortable enough to actually wear it. But he's still buying her stuff. And if we're to go along the lines of there's still that possibility of a degree of guilt, could it just be to buy her silence to keep her, happy, to make her lull her into this sense of daddy's not angry even though you told? Um, it makes you wonder, because all of it is very cringe to me. All of it is very cringe to me. The whole setup is very cringe. And I know everybody is all happy go lucky and they're like, oh my gosh, they're back together and blah blah blah, and they're all reunited. But what I also found particularly interesting was the fact that every time a comment was placed on their live that said that, where is Jay, it was quickly and swiftly deleted. And I will add that to my community so you can see for yourself that the comments were removed pretty fast. And I was like, well, if there is no issue, why is it a problem for your fans? Because these were not haters asking the question, these were fans. Why is it such an issue for a question around the fourth child to be deleted? Almost as though they are afraid he might see it and say something inappropriate, so probably to stop him from reading it out. So that implied to me that there are still stringent methods around the communication between himself and her. Why it is that, you know, certain kind of questions and stuff like that cannot be answered as to why she was not present in the household. Bit more and beyond the fact that she was at a party. Because what he doesn't want to do is to say, oh, she's at a party, she soon come, and cause problems in the investigation that's happening by CPS. Or say something like, oh, she can't be here, and then throw up even more, conversations about what's taking place in the household. All I'm going to say, people, is that the way Christy is behind her husband, and I have seen her react far worse when it was the case of the cheating to this. And it really and truly makes me wonder, could she really love that man more than her own child if the child is telling the truth? Or is it a case of she will hold her marriage together no matter what, at the risk of her child? Or is it the case of she not believe the pitney, and therefore she not go leave her husband out estranged because she not believe the pitney? Because even if the child has lied, guys, and there is some consequences or disciplining, we're not going to necessarily see that on camera or on a blog. That is not, because remember, they're not even addressing the case. You understand? Jay was there. Chrissy is forcing Jay to be around CMR. Stop letting this man. Hyacinth, please do not make those comments on my page because you do not have evidence of that. You don't have evidence of that. Do you have evidence, Hyacinth? Because over here we don't just work with chatting. We work with evidence. You want me to say to you? And I don't know how it is that you are making that kind of comments without knowing for a fact that she was there. You can make your assumptions in your head, but you can't make those kind of assumptions on the page. Moderators, please. Anything like that where people are making these sweeping allegations, delete them. I'm not saying time them out, just delete such comments because we don't know for a fact that this is the case at all. So I do not know where Hyacinth is getting her idea from that Jay was there. That is not what came across. There was no evidence of that. Me never see it. You understand? Me never see it at all. So let us just be careful. Because if you have all these conspiracy theories in your head, that is one thing. But me not deal with that. Right? Me not dealing with that at all. It has to be a case of, listen, what we're working with is what we see. So I'm still going to look at it. That she's doing right now is because of what all she's doing right now is because of the other kids. Exactly. Abstain. That's another thing. Because there is the fact that she has to co-parent with the man. She has to communicate with him for the sake of the other kids because there is no stipulation on those kids. Right? So unless the court or CPS had said no connection with any of them kids at all, she don't have much of a choice in terms of bringing them by the dad or whatever. And what if CPS says it has to be supervised, meaning she has to be present, right? Whenever he's with the kids, she has to be present. Because remember, we picked up that when he was with the little one, she was in the car. She was along for the supermarket ride. Even though they were looking like they were just father and daughter, she was there. You understand? Here in this circumstance again, she's there, right? So we don't know if as a part of it, it's like, well, he can see his kids, but you have to be present. You understand? So I looked at the communication between husband and wife now, right? I looked at the communication between husband and wife. And when I looked at the communication between husband and wife, I said it was very kind of distant for the sake of the camera. But they were still chit-chatting and being amicable and making each other laugh. There was one sexual innuendo joke from his side, of course, because him is that kind of sleazy guy. Where he was saying, like she was offering him something and him a tell her, say, I know that you forgive me. And him give her this up and down look. We all know what that implied. Um, and indicative of intimacy, which is normal between husband and wife. And when I looked at that, I said, there really is no indication that Chrissy is up in arms or up in her feelings, are upset with this man, are keeping herself distant and just focusing on the kids at all. She's very much there for her husband. There's a lot that's going on in this household, you see, people, that we will never know. And we can't beat up ourselves and try to find out them business to an extent. But these are the red flags that, as a community, we cannot step away from. The red flags are simply that here is a little girl, 13 going on 14, was made an allegation which has been dismissed and not proven, who is now within reach of being in the same space of the accused, and therefore at significant risk. And people might be asking, well, what kind of risk? Mr. Seymour, very nice to his kids, and he is a good father figure and all of that. And we expect that from some of you who really, truly don't understand the mindset of somebody who could be a predator. I'm not saying he is, I said could be. And as such, you would want to sway yourself in the direction of the positive because you are a big supporter or a big fan and you don't want to believe that something like that can take place. But who can blame the public for being concerned when there have been so many cases of children who were not believed, who were thrown back into the wolves, and then suffered an even worse fate as time progresses? And this time, just put yourself in this scenario that now he knows that she is capable of going to authorities and making such a report. It's either he's going to back up and really think twice and avoid her altogether, which will send her signals of almost like a marginalization of the child because he must go be extra cautious not to be in her space by himself, not to, not to brush past her. He might have scared to even brush past her because she might have said, I touch her inappropriately and all these things. So it's going to be so awkward and uncomfortable for her. But in addition to that, why would the child make up such a story, or why would the child tell a lie of that magnitude that would create such an effect that would affect her family like this is beyond me. Now, people are saying that, oh, she never had a clue it was going to blow up like this. She thought it was just going to be a small thing. She thought it was just going to be a teacher talk to the parents thing. She never knew he would have gotten arrested and da 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 da. Possibly, possibly. But when I look at that little girl in that interview and how she says that she's a deep thinker, she overthinks. Listen to me, the 12 and 13-year-old of back in the day is not the 12 or 13-year-old nowadays. You understand? In addition to things like this, safeguarding lessons are taught in school that alerts children to what to do if they are being abused at home. That is usually a part of, well, in England, we call it the PSHE curriculum, right? Which is the psychological, the social, the health care kind of part of growing up, where we talk children through what to do when you come across challenging situations. I'm sure it's no different in the States. And as such, she would have had some knowledge of the fact that it isn't going to be just a tap on the knuckles and stop it and don't do it again. If this child is an overthinker, if this child who has presented herself to be, I would say, above the average in terms of her understanding of life and her reasoning ability, why would she create such a fallacy to tear down her stepfather? And she's alone. Absolutely. Um, so hold on a minute. I'm reading Hyacinth's comments. I stated that because the way her mother is behaving, she never stated anything. It seems to me like she do not believe Jay when her fans are calling Jay a liar. She never blocked. Well, exactly, Hyacinth. This is what I'm trying to say. That this is the impression that's being given, and he's also come out and blatantly said he has been misjudged, which means he's telling his audience it was all a lie. That's what he's saying, without saying those words. That's what he's telling his audience, it was a lie, and they have misjudged him. That's what he's saying, and she's clearly supportive of him in this regard, right? And I can see Jay giving little clues that she's not, you know, she not really in a the mixing. You understand? Because she clearly stated she now wear her shoes. She never had to tell the audience that she now wear her shoes. The shoes that the father bought her. And he's still buying her stuff despite. Even I would imagine that even as a normal parent, you would be angry if a child lied on you like this. But there are ways that you have to respond in order for CPS to pass off your case as checked and balanced and safe for the child. So if you are actively discriminating and not buying the three but not buying her anything, then that's a form of neglect. You can't isolate the child that has blamed you for anything, even though your gut feeling is to do something like that. So you still have to buy things, the same things you would buy for the biological kids. You have to buy for the child who put the authorities on your back. You still have to, if you buy sweets for the 3, you have to buy sweets for the 4. You understand? If you send money for the 3, you have to send money for the 4. So all of this may look in the public eye like, look, he's being a good dad, when it really could just be, look, this is the stipulations of getting through this CPS thing so they can get off our backs. I'm just saying you cannot blame the public when a man has not come out here and blatantly said, I am innocent. And I do not understand why it is that this has to be withheld. You do not have to break down the ins and outs. But you should at least stand up for your own repute and not allow people to assume guilt on the part of the child in order to keep supporting you, because that's what all of your followers are doing. They're all over there doing that. All of them that were like, oh, we're so happy to see the Carter family back together, never once asked, where's the child? And it was much later on that it was discussed, after the food done cook, that it was discussed. Oh, she at a party. Before that, because I want him to sit down and yam. Before that, there was no mention of where is Jay in the comments. Nobody cared. So the audience is already conditioning their minds to remove her from the picture on his lives. And that is quite sad, especially when we see evidence of people asking for her and those comments are being deleted. People have to pretend to be perfect and ideal in order to get through certain systems and to remove them from their backs. They have to stick to a certain model of care and concern while being under investigation for safeguarding purposes. That's the only way they will be left alone to continue to be their natural raw selves. If you noticed, so what's Martha saying? Martha said it's not all 13-year-old have hold on, let me go. Lord Jesus, hold on. It's not all 13 years not have sense. When I was growing up, I have many stories I could say. Some big men are predators. People who go through these issues can tell you because I'm one of them. Correct. Correct. I don't think Simra can go back at the house yet. There is restrictions because the CPS believe the case is dropped on the circumstances. I even see a comment on this page saying they must send where the wicked girl and he never blocked it. Yeah, I saw it too. I saw that comment as well, Katie. When they mentioned her, they get blocked. Yeah, those are yes. Literally, when they mentioned her, they got blocked. It wasn't about them saying justice for Jay, which I could understand him blocking that because he's not interested in that, and him have issues with vibes. Even one of his renters was talking about she can't wait to report him or she wish she could, and how he's the one that should be taken to court, etc. I don't know what the target is with vibes, but it wasn't no justice for Jay. It was anything that mentioned her name. Where is she? Long to hear her voice, that kind of thing. You understand? It was silly when some of those followers were busy celebrating and going, "Oh, look at look, the hater them are go dead now." And I have never for once said that it was not it was not likely that he would be around his 3 biological kids. In fact, I've always said it. So that not really bother me. And I've always said, listen, me and Mrs. Chrissy and our husband, because she's always been a yamed for this man, and it not gonna change anytime soon. Right? There's evidence of such. So, if she want to hitch up with her husband, that's her business, right? But what measures are put in place to keep this little girl safe? Yeah, whether or not her story is to be believed. Yes, that's the question. Because the way Chrissy is behaving, she's behaving as though nothing is there to be believed. That everything is perfectly fine and normal. We've seen Chrissy break down when shit got real. We've seen how she breaks down when shit gets real. You understand? That when she takes to her life, she's a blubbering mess. She bawl, she cry, she cuss, everything. When the cheating thing scandal was happening, there was very little to no control. But yet with her belly pain, she is stone faced, and if anybody dares to ask questions, she talk about blacking on a bumbo, and Ray and move them, what's it not clot and cussing up. You understand? And this is what I'm saying as well. I mean, I don't go on their page and type up anything. I'm not that kind of person. I stick to my own page, my own platform. This is where my voice is. So, which is why I always go crazy on the ones that come over here and dare to pass their place, because I'm not on Chrissy's page and I'm not on CMR's page causing trouble. I leave you guys to do the thing. So leave me to do mine. You understand? But her reaction to this is so very different. And her support of the man is so very different. It does raise all kind of questions about whether or not anybody in that household actually believes that little girl. And my fundamental question is, what if the little girl isn't lying and is now in a situation where she is silenced because of no evidence? How can you expect the public to just, at least everybody in the public, because you have your supporters, but how do you expect everybody in the public to just drop that as a possibility? It's not human, it's not sensible, and it's not rational. It's not rational at all. And it's so deeply disturbing that you expect everybody to react this way. Hold on a second. Thank you so much, Hyacinth. I appreciate the super chats. It is crazy to me that you expect everybody to react this way. If anything, CMR and Chrissy, you should appreciate the fact that people are concerned that something like this could happen to one of your children in your household. Now, within your nuclear unit, you must know whether or not something goes. But I'm saying, if you are completely innocent and above, it doesn't take much for you to squash all this talk. It really doesn't. All it takes is a listen. Sometimes families go through things and things are said that are not the facts. But at the end of the day, we love our children and we love each other. And we do so in the right and responsible way. And everything that you are hearing will soon come to an end. We are working together to make sure that we come back as a unit. And Jay is safe. And we will ensure she is safe. It will back off people, It will back people off, It will back people off. But a part of me wonders if you are really riding this wave because you know that it's also financially benefiting you. I've noticed the comments ever so often that are dropped by yourself and by your wife, CMR, that at the end of the day, you like coming on YouTube because it is lucrative. It's an earner. It never used to be for you guys. And you've only really started doing a lot of lives over there since the incident because people's curiosity and fastness are going to make them run to the page to see what go on. So you have been capitalizing on the financial side of things. And no doubt that is the benefit of stretching this out and keeping it going. Especially as, CMR is not dropping the fact that he's coming to sue and he's coming to sue. You're going to need money for that, right? But as I'm saying, she called all of you guys bad mind, deflecting is real. Yeah, like I certainly don't bad mind Chrissy. And I wonder if Chrissy know that I was a customer. Yes, I was. I was a supporter and a customer. Yeah. Right? I remember being on one of her lives and telling her how the foundation that I bought from her was so good, etc., etc. This is not about I cannot speak for other bloggers, guys. Graduates, I cannot. I don't know any of the other bloggers in our real life. You understand me? I can only speak for myself. I've got absolutely no reason under the sun to bad mind Chrissy. None. None, 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 none. And I tell you, none. Right? I am not one of those out here that is, if you notice, I don't come on here and I don't beg for super chats. If I get it, I appreciate it, but I don't beg for it. I'm not out here trying to get people to cash at me or Zelle me or whatever while I speak. I am not a single mother myself. No disrespect to single mothers, but I have got a comfortable and secure marriage. To God be the glory. My boys are big, right? One of them, they're university, and he's an outstanding student. The other one is a straight A, and he's in high school. I got no issues. I own properties, not one, but two. So what is it that I bad mind them about? Right? The only reason why I don't have a big machine of a car is because I don't like them. I like my car simple, guys. Big up yourself, Anne Marie. I like my cars simple. I genuinely don't like big fancy cars, but my husband has one. But I don't like fancy cars. I like my little we call it city SUV. Yeah, that's what I like. I'm self-employed. I work for myself, which is why a lot of people wonder how it is that HDK can just come out whenever she wants and does all this. Because I'm self-employed. I manage my own time. I did not come to America, UK, and waste my time in this country. Achieved my academics. I'm a graduate 3 times over. Not one, not two, three. What reason have I got to bad mind, Chrissy? So not everybody is the same mindset, you see, but they like to sweep everybody up in a bundle. They like to put everybody up in a bundle and say, the whole of them this and the whole of them that. But we're all individual and unique people. And my graduates know that what concerns me more than anything else is the fact that this child was at risk. And to me, still is at risk to a great extent. I find it very odd and perplexing that the community that they entertain have such a nonchalant attitude towards her welfare. And in effect, it almost comes across as another form of neglect. Because that silencing of even asking about her presence is very telling. It is very telling. And I do not understand how it is that nobody can notice that there is reason to be concerned. And like I said, you are a public family. And a public family who many have held in high esteem over the years. You are, what you create is like a template for many who wish to achieve the idealized family status. And as such, your influence is huge and impacting. So when it is that you created this safe space for people to admire family values, and then it is discovered that something like this is a possibility, it is not only unnerving, but it is worrying that such acts can become normalized when they are swept under the rug and not confronted head on. We, the bloggers on the outside, have a duty to confront it head on. And not all are brave enough to do so. Looking at some of the comments. The way she speaks of Jamaicans, you would have feel that she born in America. They start to see their own lives as false and stop idolize other people. Yeah, it's not good. It's never good to idolize anybody. But a lot of people need examples, guys. A lot of people need examples because within their own immediate household, there are none. So when they look online and they see a Jamaican family, they will automatically draw to things like that and say something like, "Boy, I want to live like the Carters. I want to be like them," and stuff like that. You understand? And nothing wrong with that. But then you have to be careful what you absorb, right? Because if there are certain demons there that are coming to the surface, you need to reevaluate what you hold in high esteem, right? And at the very least, this family needs to take the time to fix what is happening in their household. Now, I don't know if they are. I don't know if CMR is going to counseling. I don't know if Jay is getting any counseling either. You would assume that child protection would make sure that something like that takes place, but who knows what is being adhered to at all? He has made it clear there's going to be less transparency around him and his kids and his family. And this could be a good thing in that it relieves them from further criticism. It could also be a bad thing in that a lot less, a lot more could end up being hidden. And a lot more damage could end up taking place off air. You understand? Because remember, afterwards, when the thing happened, everybody started combing through. I never did that. I just saw what was done by others. But everybody started combing through all of the videos, to look for evidence of some kind of moment of discomfort or whatever. And the birthday one stood out to a lot of people when she was in the little peach outfit. And he's realizing that even in putting out little snippets of interactions, they can be read deeply into. So now he's saying that, listen, they are going to run their own platforms and be more in the background when him or his wife are doing their blogs. Now, that could be a stipulation of child protection in itself, in that they're saying, listen, let them develop their own audience, which would not be the Jamaican diaspora. And you guys do your own thing because the toxicity in that community is far too high, and you are exposing the young ones to vile comments and criticisms that they don't need to be exposed to. So it could very well be that they've said, listen, you need to go over yonder and do your own thing under the supervision of your parents, and they do their own thing and not together, especially given the sordid details that are out there around your father's case. So it could be a stipulation from CPS to do it like that going henceforth. But it could also be their parenting instinct that says, listen, let's just do it that way. But I'm going to say also that that could be a double-edged sword in itself, because the kids, yes, they may be doing their thing, but I can assure you that the diaspora already has their handles and their pages, and you're going to have to help build it, so it's going to be advertised on that very said page, and people are going to be watching them carefully, and then they become even more exposed, because certain comments and stuff that may go on there would be very difficult for y'all to manage. Um, Yes, it's emotional harm. I felt weird about everything in the Halloween videos. Then, boom, the situation blew up a day later. Yeah, I heard about the Halloween videos, and people were saying where the camera was going and stuff. I could not bring myself to look at it. I'm not gonna lie, because I really can't. I don't want to look at it, because sometimes when you're looking at things through the lens of I already think that you are capable of this, you're gonna see the worst things. So I left it alone. There is video evidence of Seymour saying his wife as a way of fixing things, which makes sense when we see him coming out claiming someone is asking him to change. Yeah, I commented on that, Anne Marie. I commented on that particular video, how awkward he looked. And I said to myself, that look like CMR in a one straight jacket. When he in a black shirt and a tag. And the man looked so uncomfortable, and he was talking about fertility and something, something, something. And I was like, dude, that is not you at all. I don't know who put you in that shirt and who made you sound like that, but you sound like you're under duress. You understand? Um, or to hide his intentions. When I saw the hickey, I was wondering what the hell. That's what I'm saying. I'm not gonna get into their man or woman business. She must know what she can tolerate as a type of man, right? And I'm not gonna judge that. I'm saying, what are they doing to keep this child safe? Is what they're doing to keep this child safe more than just superficial? Based on the fact that I've seen him, I mean, the interaction between him and OC was natural. It was not fake. But I could tell that he was holding back on how he communicated. Like when him say, you're not too old, forget belt. Then him dress it up and make it look like a joke as a Hannah foot and stuff. I don't know, because when he made that comment, he kind of looked beyond the camera, like at somebody. Maybe it was his wife, I don't know, but it was like a correction needed to be made, because obviously this is the type of video that child protection would look at if they're still looking. Um, or the kind of thing that could be sent to child protection if people were still actively doing things like that. He did mention how cruel the internet could be and social media, and how people were writing to his workplace, or not his workplace, his college, to try to stop him from graduating and stuff like that. Now, I would never do something like that. Nor would I encourage that. I always say that I'm not into crossing over from social media into people's real life, but clearly people have been doing things, have been writing to their sponsors and stopping their bread, which I'm also not for, because they need to feed the kids. So it's counterproductive, if we're saying that we're wanting those kids to be looked after, to do stuff like this. But and then obviously something this big, no doubt those contractors have seen what's out there. And they said that they paused these contracts and stuff while things get tidied up. And clearly, if a case has been dismissed, it's about purging the social media look of the family, in order to restart those again. Because once you go to your former employers and go, listen, the case was dismissed, not in Augusta, and you can tell them whatever. You can say, listen, it was dismissed because the child lied. You could say that. They would just look at the fact that the case was dismissed. They wouldn't give two whatever hoots about whether or not the child lied. They would just look at the fact that it was dismissed. They would buy out your story, the fact that you still have the influence, the numbers. That's all that matters. Back to regular schedule, because that's how businesses work. It's about black and white, and not necessarily about ethics and standards and gut feelings. You understand? So they need to clean up their social media image. They need to keep coming live to maintain the influence in order to restart some of these business obligations, or build new ones. They need to keep going, and they need to create that picture of the perfect family again, because that's their approach, right? Or a unit between himself and Chrissy. Now, I am going to give this case a rest, but I will be looking out for the particular interaction between them and Jay in the same space. I need to see that, and see how that plays out. If that plays out, that would be an eye opener, and it would be very telling. No matter how they try to smooth it over, it would be very telling. So this particular piece of the puzzle is key to seeing how things are progressing. Likewise, the return to the house is also a key milestone. So those are the things that I would speak on going forward. But I'm not gonna sit here every day and drag Chrissy and CMR necessarily. But I'm still going to keep saying justice for that child, in that I need to see that child's welfare and well being handled properly. I need to know that she's safe. My followers need to know that Jay is safe. My followers need to know that she is happy, that she's living a balanced life, that nobody not interfere with her. So that's always going to be an agenda. And while I may explore other subjects that deal with things like this, Justice for Jay is probably going to always sit on my screen while I do it. M. Stain says, I don't think they will show that child again on camera around him. We'll see. We'll see. I think it's being built up to be perfectly honest. I think it's being built up to. I think that it really is a matter of time. And as he has said, they may not be focused on. In other words, he may not do things like a father-daughter interview again, or a father-daughter prank again, but um, they may just be in the background eating while he's talking to the audience, or she's talking to the audience, and they're cooking together. You understand? Yes, I did see that, Jan Jan. You understand? So how you not getting a notification? Oh, I'm so sorry. But that child, let me tell you something, people. I don't believe she lied. The evidence has not been concretized to say that she told the truth. I believe based on what they've shown us of this girl, unless they've already shown us a lie, that she isn't that type of child to be manipulative, but that's what they've shown us. But at the end of the day, if we're saying that these people are capable of deception, there is always that 1% chance that even what they showed us of that little girl may also be a deception. I still stand with her, because even if she lied, and this is an even if, something is very wrong in that household to make her do it. Something is very wrong with the relationship that she has with her stepfather to make her do it. This is what me I try to say. Something is not okay, or at least, let me rephrase that. Something was not okay. We don't know what's happening now. So yes, we still say justice for Jay. I don't believe the authorities would allow him around Jay. No, that would be an interesting thing, because if that's the case, then are we seeing the Carters in a split household forever? Those are fundamental questions to ask. Is this how the new setup is going to be? Is this the case that he will always have to live on the outside of his family and have his children around ever so often? Is he going to be deprived of all of that empire that he has built with his wife? Or is it a case of he'll be a guest in his own house, visiting when the child is not the children, when Jay is not present? Or will there be a time when they will be properly reintegrated into the household under one roof? Either way you take it, we still have not seen him in the same space with Jay, and that is very telling. And I don't think any celebrations and woo-has can be had yet. Not until we see that manifest itself, right? Until then, it is clear that these people are giving the impression that lies have been told and CMR has been misjudged. And if they're saying that, then we are already being given the heads up that they don't believe the child. And that's a very, very difficult and sticky position to be in based on the allegations that have been made. And no rational thinking person can think otherwise. But we know that in this world, there are a lot of irrationals out there. A lot. Rex is very excited to go set up his new apartment. Really, I made girl. Listen, that the woman husband, my love, I am, she say. So we're not gonna say nothing too much about that. My issue is the child's welfare. That's the priority. I don't care about nothing else. I don't care about nothing else. I want to know that that little girl is happy and that she's happy around her siblings and that she's happy with her mother and that she's happy with the man. That is all. That there are safe precautions in place for her, and if he's brought back around her, that she's not at risk. I mean, I care at this point if she tell lie or tell the truth. At this point, me just care say she's not involved in any further altercations that will lead to further allegations or worse. Um, if and even if send that child back to Jamaica, that Monday I go back home. It's him above all for the mother. That's what you think, Nikki. I hear you. Exactly, HDK. That's what happens to person who plays stupid games. These are the consequences. And there's a lot of lessons to be learned here, um, guys. And I want you to pay attention to the type of content that the characters used to push out, the kind of things they used to do. They always say that social media is the devil's playground. Even Chrissy mentioned that in her last live. And she doesn't seem to realize that she's one of the pawns in the game as well. Because when you put pranks out about cheating, you put pranks out about, telling mom that my daughter has a boyfriend or I have a boyfriend, those kind of pranks and those kind of things, you are inviting certain energies around your household. You are inviting certain energies in your marriage and in your relationship with your kids. Guys, I had somebody write to me and I didn't respond because sometimes I look in my spam and I see messages and I don't respond, but I do read them. I just don't respond because I know everybody but talk to. You understand? You have to be a hardcore graduate to get a response out of me. Right? Um, and people write to me all the time. And one person wrote to me about a particular case and sent me a link, um, which I was hesitating to click on. But it was a legit Instagram link. I have a link checker, so I put it in there and it showed it was a legit Instagram link and not some kind of hacking thing. So what was sent to me was about a case that was in 2017. I don't know if you've heard of it. Hang on, let me go into my messages. 1 second. So the case was this one. I'm going to put it up on my screen. And I think the person was obviously a CMR sympathetic. And they were showing me how the system can set one up to be guilty, right? So hold on 1 second. Let me try and find the case. Hold on. Um, right, I think it's this one. It's on Click on Detroit. Hold on. No, not this. So basically it was a case dismissed. Hold on, dismissed. Let me just search for the name of the man. The man's name is James Salt Marshall, right? Click on Detroit. Right, okay. Yeah, here it is. All right, I'm gonna show you guys this. Hold on. Just look at this because it was a little bit, it shook me up a little bit. It did shake me up a little bit. Um, but it's important to keep an objective mind sometimes, just to listen to other people's perspectives, right? Okay, so let me make this a new window, and then I'm going to share my screen. Just take a look at this because this was crazy to me. Right. Thumbs up if you can see my screen. If you can see that. Give me a thumbs up if you can see my screen. Part of me is telling me that the mother is a little, what did I say? Oh,
I missed something. Can you say it again?
shut up, Alexa. I'm not talking to you. Right. Can you see my screen, everybody? Okay. So I want you to take a look at this case. And it's about a man by the name of James Salt Marshall. So take a look at the title. It says, Case dismissed against man charged with SA of 8-month-old in Inkster, right? He was previously charged with the emming of the child abuse and CSC, okay? So if you look here, it has been dismissed. Now, the difference between this case dismissal and that of CMR's is that there was an extensive investigation and trial involved here that was well documented, as opposed to CMR's case where we just see a dismissal document, and no information document, and we don't see any kind of evidence of a trial, right? So James Lee Salt Marshall, 22, was charged with felony murder, first degree child abuse, and first degree criminal sexual conduct in connection with the death of his 8-month-old daughter. After an extensive investigation and based upon the June 16, 2017 report from the Wayne County Medical Examiner, we made that bigger, it has been determined that the cause of death of the child was asphyxia and the manner of death was determined to be an accident. Right? The Wayne County Prosecutor's Office said Mr. Salt Marshall and his daughter were determined to have slept adjacent to each other on an adult-sized bed, and upon waking, Mr. Salt Marshall found the child unresponsive. Today, WCPO moved to have the case dismissed in the best interest of justice. The motion was granted by Judge Sabrina Johnson. Prosecutors alleged Salt Marshall was alone with his infant girl on April 20th in a hotel in the 2600 block of Michigan Avenue when authorities were called because the child was unresponsive. The child was in good health when the mother left for work in the morning. It was alleged Salt Marshall K the child by causing trauma to her head. Police said there were other injuries observed on the child and the infant died on April 23rd. You saw this case. It's crazy, this one. He was released from jail on April 28th on a $2 million personal bond. When asked about his release, Salt Marshall told Local 4 that a medical examiner had told his lawyer there was no physical damage to his daughter. I've been told by my lawyer that she took my child out to the medical examiner and they basically said there was no physical damage to my child. I don't know why people would think I would do that. I've been involved with CPS since my daughter was born. So this is a family that's known to CPS. So obviously there's a history there of them being not necessarily the best parents, right? So that's another reason why I don't think I would do something like that to my child if I have to take my child to CPS almost every week. That really doesn't make sense, but hopefully we can get to the bottom of it and go from there. When asked about the SA charge against him, he said, I was shocked. At the same time, I was told my daughter had passed 2 or 3 days prior. That's why on the news you see me crying frantically and acting that way. I was told that my daughter was deceased and I was charged with 3 felonies that I have never seen happen to me, seen only happen on TV. But they put me in jail since last Thursday. When asked about the events that took place the day his daughter died, Salt Marshall said, my daughter suffocated in my arms while I was sleeping and while she was sleeping. I woke up and realized that my daughter was not breathing. And the first thing I did was call the police. As soon as the police came, they picked my daughter, put her in the truck for about 20 minutes and took her to the hospital. The cop then rushed me to the hospital. Once we get to the hospital, they started naming all these different types of injuries that were new to me. So Marshall said he's glad he's been released. Finally out and get to be around my family and get to actually mourn my daughter's death. Now, if you look this case up, it is a really interesting one because what they found was that there was a tear on the anus of the child, right? And later on, at first they said that that was because of essaying, yeah. And then obviously the bruise around the neck or wherever because he was or around around the child's body because he was holding the child so tightly while he slept. Now, what really happened was he fell asleep holding the child tightly and clearly was squeezing the child in his sleep and suffocated the baby. And the tear that was found was later discovered to be as a result of the fact that she was constipated. You understand? But instantly he was condemned as this and so on. Now, there are other articles where he actually speaks and he talks about the fact that he was trolled on social media, he was called all kinds of dirty names, da 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 da. But when you saw his response in the courts, let me see if I can find it for you. Hold on a second. When you see his response, because he was innocent, you could tell that this man would have given everything to just be free because he never did this thing. It's very, very different. In a minute, I don't want to play the sound. I'm just going to mute it, but I'm just going to show you his body language. I'm going to show you his body language. Hold on 1 second. When he discovered that he was in fact being charged and okay, so can we see that? Let me see if I can make it big and you can see that, right? Listen how an innocent man responds. His behavior before the case dropped says to me that we didn't misjudge him. If he was innocent, why was he saying things like people bad and jealous of him like we reporting? Yeah, exactly. So this guy, his response was just he was obviously so devastated about the situation. But when he was arrested and everything, that's the little girl. You could he was just traumatized. Like and when he was made innocent, you need to go watch it. I'm not go watch it. Come in, I go play it and get myself strike. But I'm just saying, go watch it, right? Because the response of this guy when he was going through the whole court system, his case, everything, the man was like, listen, I would never do that. I would never do that to my child, and that's the difference here. CMR is leaving us with nothing. He's not going, I would never. He is not, his wife is not saying he would never. Nobody is saying that he would never. There is no decree of innocence. There is no cry of I am not guilty. Regardless, let me tell you something. Jay is a child. And if it's a case of, listen, she did this, we are going to tell her, yes, your picnic need for fix. And something is not right still because your relationship with her was obviously not okay for her to do that. But at the end of the day, if they see you rallying around her, loving her, supporting her, and so on, eventually tongues will stop wag. But there is no I am innocent. There is no firm response to back off all of the allegations and the accusations and the conceptions in the head. You understand? Let me take a look at some of the comments here. In the US, the courts have failed a lot of kids, return kids to home. Yep. Which is why they cannot blame us to keep speaking. This is what I'm trying to say. How can they blame us to keep speaking when we know that there have been so many failed cases where kids are concerned and things just happen? And then by the time we look, we see a headline, say, pick me end up with them 3 points take. I am learning. I'm a recent graduate since the character issue came up. Oh, okay. Oh, I don't know what next day. Grace moved to the head of the class the day when he was on live on the news bus before he was prancing around about the F of them. Yes, 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 he was. He really was, because he was all excited because it was dismissed and he was on a high. I remember that. You can tell someone who is in fact sad versus someone who is attempting to act like it. Yep. Innocent people don't take down people channel. Hey, I'll have something there, and don't try so hard to silence people from speaking. And never once said he was innocent. This thing sick my stomach. Her the mother has a big hickey. She is sick too. Let me not tell you. Listen, she has shown that is where her support lies. Why would I want to go back in the house with someone who says she like? Yes, I'll have something there. All them something there. How would he feel going back into that house with that child if that is the case? All of that is grounds for vulnerability and safeguarding risks. All of it. This man claimed innocence. Uncle Larry has not. Exactly. She's a wicked mother. Her behavior is terrible. I wouldn't go that far to say that Chrissy's a wicked mother. I would say that Chrissy may know something that we don't know. And it would be wise to state, to silence the tongues. Otherwise, we're going to keep talking. And like I said, I am going to now leave this case here and only revisit at the key points. One, should I see an interaction with Jay herself? Two, should he be reintroduced back into the household? And then, God forbid, the third time, that if anything further comes out amiss with any of those kids, we will continue to say justice for Jay. Please light up the chat with the purple hearts. We hope and pray that this child is protected and kept safe. We pray that God intervenes in this family and that there is some kind of a reparation of the mindset of this man, that he respects his wife and his children, that he understands his role as father, and that he maintains healthy boundaries between himself and his girls, that the little girls are not further damaged by all of the talk and all of the things that are being said online around their families. And should they go on to do their own platforms, that they are guided to do so in a healthy and respectful way. There's a lot of lessons to be learned for everybody involved, including the followers, including the family. But we await progress, development, and hopefully healing. Either way you take it, the welfare of the child is our only priority. Big up on a nice, clean self, graduates. Thank you so much for attending A Touch of Class with HTK. If you are new to my channel, please make sure that you subscribe and hit that bell. Over here, we will continue to discuss challenging topics, thought-provoking topics, trending topics ever so often. So make sure you double click that bell so you get a notification whenever I go live. This is your girl, Hey Teacher K, and thank you so much for attending class. Bye-bye.